Okay, so the sorry state of affairs is that essentially the Prussians could come down to having 30 morale points left, and if we consider the French and the British are kind of will be about equal, that means that, and I think that was the best case scenario. That would mean that the net morale difference would be less than 50, so it would be a marginal Anglo-Allied / Prussian victory. And in a way, it would be nice to play it out just to see how battered the French get and how battered the Anglo-Allied army gets. But the decider is just going to be the Prussians, and they're essentially, upon my calculation, they would just uncommit the whole of the first corps, so they'd get a bit more of the fifth corps coming on. They would commit the fifth corps to finish the French off, and then just kind of like watch them as they left the field. We'd have to assume that they pursued them under cover of darkness, but it would take me at least another whole week to game that out, because that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 12 more turns. That's about another 6 hours of gameplay, and I can see it's what's the best case scenario is a French loss and a slight Allied marginal victory. And that was what historically happened, and I can see why it happened, because essentially I was hasty with my attack, and my French started attacking before they brought in their artillery, and I'd never deployed the artillery properly. It was only really in the last couple of hours where I got artillery right up close to the Anglo-Allied lines, and you need that to take them off the heavy positions. So I was using a lot of infantry fire before that, and some cavalry charges, but not many, because the nature of the terrain, there's all this broken hedged terrain around here. It was difficult to get the cavalry in, also because I had masses of infantry. So I didn't really do the right thing in. You have to. I think what you have to do is bring up the artillery under cover of cavalry, with infantry close by, and and work it like that. And I just didn't coordinate it, and it is really a sort of a case of an exercise in coordination, because you can have a plan. Strategically, I think the plan was good, but tactically my coordination was not, and so it fell apart. Also, I think the French, I should have brought on the Fifth Corps sooner, very early, and placed them here, and then deactivated them to hold up the Prussians further back. That would that would just delay the Prussians. So I guess the French would have had a little bit longer, and with a better preparation for their attack, it might have been more successful. It's a bit moot though, because to bring on the Fourth Corps earlier, you have to commit them, which is exhausting your army a little bit. Okay, you can deactivate them, and they can essentially go into reserve, and you stem off that morale loss that way. But it might have invited a riposte or a parry from Wellington, which would have brought his morale down quicker, because the morale also sort of represents exhaustion, not just kind of well, I suppose that is fighting spirit, isn't it? So that is the end. Prussians filing on, the French last gasp as their army just has enough when the French hit them down here. And at the same time, or just after, the Anglo-Allies had enough. So it wasn't the historical result in the sense that Wellington retires from the field, but at the same time Napoleon has to retire from the field too, leaving the Prussians to kind of pursue. But the Prussian pursuit would not be strong because most of their units are quite low in morale. You know, they've come from another major battle a few days ago, and so that they don't have the fighting capability they might have had, so they wouldn't create a vigorous pursuit. And I think we can tell that the victory condition as a marginal victory at this point. So Napoleon's army would retreat, Wellington's would retreat, and then there would just be a cautious pursuit from the Prussians, not a sort of hasty harrying which would destroy the army. So Napoleon might well be able to fight another day. But that's the end of it for me here now. It's funny because I was so excited to get him back into it. You know, I sort of delayed off it because it takes quite a lot of effort, and I was really into it, and then suddenly, bang! I saw that, well, the British Anglo-Allied army morale has dropped, and then seeing that the French was about to go, its mine just dropped. I thought, okay, that's it. I don't need to play out the rest of the game. So I'm a little bit disappointed that I didn't, because I'd like to have seen it absolutely through to conclusion, you know, have quite an achievement at that. But it's not necessary when I've got another game that I really want to get onto the table. Okay, and that's it for now.